The water doesn't care about your excuses. I want to talk to you about what a cold plunge taught me about resilience, ego, and why your business and the people you're building it with must lean and sit inside the hard moments. I've stepped into cold waters 4 times in my life. The first three were polar bear dips for charity, which is a polite way of saying there was a peer pressure, a crowd, and the sweet mercy of knowing it would all be over in 15 seconds. This time was different. This time I was alone with it. And what I found in the stillness, past the shock, past the panic, past the very loud internal voice suggesting a warm shower and a protein shake, instead was the clearest business lesson I have ever received. The cold doesn't intensify over time. What intensifies is your resistance to it. That's not a metaphor, that is a mechanism. That is a human mechanism. On the plunge experience, your nervous system fires immediately. Ancient, hardwired, get out, get safe, preserve heat. This is the same signal that tells a founder to pivot in the moments of revenue dips. The same signal that makes a manager avoid the difficult conversations for the third week running. The same signal that has an entire generation of young professionals logging off early, calling in mentally, or quietly coasting because no one has ever asked them to sit inside something genuinely uncomfortable for long enough to come out of the other side. It's time for you to come out of the other side changed. Here's the truth no one ever wants to put in a headline. We have built a generation of professionals who have had never been trained to endure, not because they're weak, they're not, but because the architecture of this world has never demanded it. Technology has been extraordinary at removing friction. Instant answers, frictionless transactions, entertainment collaborated to your exact preferences in real time, comfort optimized at every turn. The neuroscience is not subtle about what this does. When ease becomes the baseline, the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, recalibrates. What used to be a normal Tuesday is a demanding job now registers as a crisis. A 40-hour work week feels like an imposition. A stretch assignment feels like an attack. We have juniors who can't get through a full working week without shutting down. Not because the work is impossible, but because no one ever taught them that the hard is not the same as wrong. I've watched it happen in real time. A promising junior handed their first genuinely hard project, one with ambiguity, real stakes, and no clean answers. And within 2 weeks, they're quiet in meetings, citing burnout, and wondering aloud where the culture is the right fit. The cold plunge is a teacher, precisely because it removes all that softness. There is no workaround, no negotiation, no email you can send to reschedule the cold. What happens when you stop fighting it? If you stay still, and this is the move that changes everything. Something shifts. The panic doesn't disappear, but it becomes familiar. The body's ancient and adaptive begins to stay. We're not dying. Cortisol spikes and then drops. Dopamine floods in. Norepinephrine, the neurotransmitter that governs alertness, focus, and mood, rises by 300%. The biochemistry of endurance turns out to be the biochemistry of clarity. 300% norepinephrine rise after cold immersion. 11 minutes weekly for cold exposure can give you measurable results. And the first instinct is always to escape. The second is always to adapt. But here's what no wellness article tells you. The shift isn't automatic. You have to choose it. You have to decide in the middle of the shock to breathe slowly instead of fast, to soften instead of being tense, to say consistently, I'm not in danger, I am in discomfort. These are not the same thing. That choice made under pressure is exactly what business demands of leaders every single day. Cash flow tightens, a key hire walks out, a product launches, lands flat. The instinct, biological instinct, loud, is a panic pivot. To do something different, to escape the pressure as fast as possible. But the best decisions I've ever watched founders make lays in the stillness instead of the hard moments. Ego doesn't survive cold water. The cold plunge is also ruthlessly clarifying about ego. You can't perform in cold water. There's no angle to work, no impression to manage. You're just a person in freezing water, breathing, staying. The ego, the part of you that wants comfort without friction, certainty without risk, credit without the hard yards, has absolutely nothing to do with it here. In business, ego shows up as a polished slides, a mask of fragile strategy. It's in the founder who can't hear feedback. It's in the senior who delegates nothing because they can't risk being wrong. The cold plunge strips all of that away in about 4 seconds. Resilience, actual resilience, not the Instagram variety, is not inherited. It is built through repeated exposure to difficulty without collapse. Every uncomfortable conversation you don't avoid, every problem you sit with instead of outsourcing, every moment you stay in the cold when every instinct says to climb out, these compound. Your capacity expands. What used to feel overwhelming becomes, over time, simply another Tuesday. Growth only lives in the friction. If everything in your business feels comfortable right now, predictable, safe, smooth, I'd ask you to sit down with that for a moment. Maintenance feels like comfort. Stagnation feels like comfort. Real expansion has an edge to it. It asks something of you that you're not sure you can give. The tension isn't a warning signal, it's a developmental signal. It's the water telling you that you're in the right place at the right time. We are not designed for ease. Human beings, our brains, our bodies, and our spirits are built for endurance, adaptation, and the peculiar satisfaction of having come through something hard. The science of the amygdala, the research on neuroplasticity, the literature on post traumatic growth, it all points to the same direction. We need hardship, not suffering for its own sake, but challenge that is real and earned and met. The cold plunge doesn't lie. It teaches you 5 things that no business school will ever put in the curriculum. Discomfort is not danger. Your body makes no distinction, but your mind can. Resistance to what's real burns more energy than the thing itself. Ego collapses under real pressure. Awareness expands in its place. Resilience is built, not bestowed. Every hard moment is a deposit. Growth only happens when you stay in the discomfort long enough to adapt. And the instinct to escape is always there. In the water, in the boardroom, in the conversation you've been putting off for 3 weeks. The junior sitting across from who you need someone to tell them, with kindness and zero apology, that this is the part that you lean into instead of log off. But so is the choice to stay, quiet, controlled, and cold. That's where everything gets real.